Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula. Thanks for joining me. Today I've got some cheesy cards to share. When I was at the Creativation show back in January in Phoenix, I spotted this super clever and cheesy stamp set from Heffy Doodle. This is a newer stamp company from the UK, and I immediately fell in love with this set. Leslie, the owner of Heffy Doodle, was kind enough to send me this stamp set and coordinating dies, and I've been itching to make some fun cards using it. I finally have, and I'm excited to share them here with you, and I hope you will like them. So here's a look at this stamp set. This set is called Squeakheart, and you get some fun images and some really clever, cheesy sentiments. I think it's the sentiments that really caught my eye, and also the clever coordinating dies, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I started working on my cards by stamping a bunch of images from this stamp set in alcohol marker-friendly ink onto white paper. I did not know how many I would need. I was on a roll, so I stamped a bunch just in case. I used my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink and Nina Solar White paper, as well as my Mini Misty stamping tool to be able to double stamp the images. Next, I used my Copic markers and did some very quick and simple coloring. The beauty of these cards is not going to be in the coloring, but rather in the punny sentiments. So I didn't pay that much attention to the coloring today. I just wanted to add some basic coloring and shading to these. I used Y15, Y19, and YR14 colors to color the holes in the cheese, and also used almost identical yellow colors to color the cheese pieces themselves. I first colored them to light yellow, so I later used darker yellow markers and fixed my coloring to make that cheese look more real. I also did some super simple coloring to color critters. I used both cool and warm gray markers and basically went with the W3 and W1 as well as the C3 and C1 markers. I did not add any blush or anything else to these. Of course, you can color these images any way you like using any coloring medium you prefer, but like I mentioned, the coloring is not going to be the center of attention on these cards, so I just did some super speedy coloring with my Copics, and I find Copics to be a good medium for me when I just need to add quick color to my outline images. Next, I used coordinating dies and cut all of these out in my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. The beauty of these coordinating dies is that they not only cut the shapes out, but also cut little slits. So the large piece of cheese, for example, will cut a partial slit where the cheese hole is to insert the critter, so you don't have to cut it out using a craft knife. The die does it for you. It's very convenient and very easy to do, and if you do not want to use that opening, it cuts it so neatly that you don't even see it there. So you can use this image as just a piece of cheese and not have a critter peek out from the hole. To create backgrounds for my cards, I wanted to do something clever, something that would mimic the look of cheese. After looking for suitable products in my stash, I came across this fun stencil from Simon Says Stamp. This is Irregular Dots Stencil. I also grabbed very light yellow paper from my stash. This is paper from Hero Arts from their mixed layering sets. And to add color, I used Sunshine Dye ink pad from Simon, and to apply the color, I decided to use this brush from Tonic Studios. I find that my wrist gets tired quicker if I use regular Tim Holtz mini distress ink blending tools, so I've been enjoying using these brushes for blending lately, especially if I need to blend large areas quickly. They give a nice and light blended look, and they are super easy to use. I have 3 brushes, they are double-sided, and I just use them for whatever color of ink I need. I do try to clean them by just brushing them on a piece of paper, white clean paper, to get any residual ink off, but I certainly do not have a brush for every color of ink in my collection, as I don't think that that's necessary. 3 brushes is more than enough for me. I lift up my stencil from time to time to check and see if I have enough ink on there or if I want to go darker, and really this stencil design, when stenciled in yellow over yellow, does look like cheese. Super easy background to make, and it goes so well with the cheesy cards that I have in mind today. Next, I went ahead and I white heat embossed sentiments for my cards onto brown cardstock. I wanted to use black paper, but I was filming this video almost immediately after I moved to Ukraine from the United States, and I couldn't find my black paper, so I used what I could find, which was this brown cardstock. Black would have looked a little bit better here, I think. I did have to cut some of the sentiments into separate parts as I didn't want them going on a straight line for all of my cards, so I just cut them apart using scissors, and I often do this. I can always put the sentiments back together the way they were if that's how I want to use them. You can also mask your sentiment strips if you don't feel comfortable cutting them, but to me, masking takes more time, so I just cut them apart and arrange them the way I want. I used foam adhesive squares and foam mounted all of my parts and pieces to create a little scene with rats crawling around the big piece of cheese. And I have the rat on the front holding a tiny piece of cheese. And this is once again the beauty of the coordinating dies in this stamp set. They cut the little slits for the critter's hands to be able to insert a piece of cheese, or there's also a little seed in the stamp set that the critter can hold. Super cute, I think. Of course, cards like this aren't for everybody, but for somebody who has a nice sense of humor, I bet they will enjoy a card like this tremendously. I have found that you will need to use a little tool. Here I'm using just the pokey tool from my Tool-in-One from Spellbinders to be able to lift up the hands and insert that little piece of cheese. And I'm also adding some glue to make sure that that cheese is going to stay in place and it's not going to get lost. For my next card, I went with a vertical sentiment and I just stacked 3 large chunks of cheese, one on top of another with different critters in each. And you can see that I've inserted those critters through that partially cut slit in the cheese. And I went with "You're such a Gouda friend" sentiment for this card. Super clever and super cheesy, I think. Just using some foam adhesive squares here to foam mount the cheese pieces in place, and also using foam squares behind the critters to pop them up as well on this card. Here, I just wanted to show you how I fixed the coloring on the cheese. I used pretty much the same marker colors as I did for the cheese holes. So Y15 to color the entire surface of the cheese, and then Y19 to add some shading. I also used a white pen to fix any of the coloring that went outside the line, and I always use this trick. It's a lifesaver. And here I have critter that I'm going to insert into the opening, and there are several critters in different poses in the stamp set to better work with the specific images. This particular critter works best with a little food dropper image, I think, but it also works fine with the cheese. And I added a tiny piece of cheese for him to hold, so he has lots of cheese around him. For my last card, I decided to make it into a round shaped card. I used Spellbinder's circle die and I die cut a circle card base with the ink blended background on the front. I stamped "Hope You Feel Cheddar Soon" sentiment in black ink onto the card base, and I just foam mounted my cheese with a critter on top. This stamp set also has tails for the mice and rats, and I just went ahead and stamped one where I felt I needed it. And there are coordinating dies available for the little tails as well. So here is a look at my cheese cards made with a Squeakheart stamp set by Heffy Doodle. If you like funny sentiments and cheesy cards like this, I think it's a great stamp set to get and play with. There are additional sentiments and images that are great for some funny friendship cards. So this finishes my video. I hope you feel inspired to create. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, as always, guys, please leave them in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. I'm sharing lots of card making videos. If you are a subscriber but are not receiving new video notifications, check the bell icon on the homepage of my channel to get notified when there's a new video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!